Okay, now it's going. I kind of screwed up, I think. I didn't, probably got another stream that I started, but hopefully I got it going right now. I'll get the bot going. Okay, there we go. Bot should be going. Hi, BMC. Hi, Chris. Hi, Michael. I've been contemplating here this morning how I'm going to do these shocks. And what I saw last weekend, a couple guys running their trucks, I didn't like how their front shocks went to get them down to ride height. The springs were completely outside of the lower shock cups. And so I've been kind of contemplating how I want to set these shocks up to get so these cups the spring will stay within the cup. That's the one thing with trucks, to get the ride heights down like you need on carpet. The springs will be a little bit loose on the shock body. And like in their case, the spring was actually when the arms were clear extended. Hi, Richard. The spring would be completely outside of the lower cup, so that allows the spring to get in and get kind of wedged. So I don't like that. So I'm gonna build them just a little bit different. I'm still contemplating a little bit exactly how I want to do it. But I'm gonna kind of go back on how my old truck was set up. Granted, these the last update on my truck, I ran buggy shocks on the front, which are a 23 millimeter shock body and shaft. And this new truck they came out with, they did change okay, why am I missing? Don't tell me oh, there it is. Anyway, to a 25 millimeter shock body with a 24 millimeter shaft. And granted, it don't sound like a whole lot, but the way it was set up and the way the kit's set up, this kit was set up for basically for dirt. And a 23 millimeter ride height. Well, we want to be down around 17 millimeters ride height on carpet. So I thought about pulling the shocks off the other truck, but I want to leave that truck intact. Got a trophy race next weekend, just a Friday, Saturday race. And I don't want to go over there with just, hey, Fasty, just go over there with the truck that's not been used. and expect it to be good right out of the box. I know my other truck is good, the older truck. But I think what we're going to do, way we're going to do this, we're going to put a millimeter internal limiter in it. And what we're going to do, instead of the zero height cups, we're going to run the 2 height cups, and they are 2 height ball ends. And the kit calls for the 5 offset shock spring cup. We're going to go down to the 0 shock cup. That's the way my old truck was set up. So that'll get your ride heights down naturally by having the lower spring cups. It'll be up 2 millimeters higher because rather than using the 0s, I'm going to use the 2s. So there should be about 3 millimeters difference there. And that's about what it needs to get the spring to not pop out of the cup. We're hoping anyway. And then by using the +2, it'll still maintain the droop that you want to get, even though I'm going to go down to it'll probably be a 23.5 inch stroke on the shock compared to 24.5. We'll just see how it works. The one thing the kit comes with purple springs, which is the stiffest. I think I'm going to go with the orange springs, which should give just a little bit more, lower the ride height just a little bit. Another thing, the way the guys were set up, they didn't have the 3 and 0 offset on axle height. They just had the 2s and 1s, so there should be a millimeter lower there on the chassis also. But that's kind of where we're at. Like I say, I've been contemplating this for the last 2 hours, exactly how I wanted to set it up initially, to try and get so the spring won't disengage the cup at the bottom. And actually then what happens, that spring gets offset and is up on the top of the cup, then there's be almost 5 millimeters ride height, and then your car will act all goofy. So, and that usually, it'll just be one that'd be off. So yeah, I don't want that to be happening. I want those springs to be within, because I've even had, with the loose springs, had them pop up over those spring cups, and then wonder why my car's acting goofy. But that was usually because I hit something and popped the spring up over the cup. So that's where we're at. I guess the first thing I really need to do is get these shafts out and get the pistons up on them and get them Loctite in place. So they got a little bit of time before let the Loctite work to before I put oil in them. Probably overthinking it, but just seeing what the guys had last weekend, I just didn't like it. I like that, having that spring being that loose. The other thing I'm doing, the kit comes with 1.7 for front pistons and 1.9s for rears. Again, I think that's more of a dirt setup thing. So I got 1.8 pistons for the rears here that I'm going to use. Yes, that was something that Alex said about gluing them to the cup bottom. And I thought about that, and I thought, well, maybe shoe glue might be a good thing. Could work also if you allowed it enough time to get set up. Yeah, that was one thing. Hi, Ogre. Just building a kit. We're getting down toward the nitty-gritty. Final steps. And I don't want the 1.8 pistons. That's a 1.7 or 1.9 pistons. These should be the two 1.9s. Yep. I'll put them aside. Get my marker out here and make it a little easier to see what I've got for pistons. There's a little trick they tell you. Use a marker and mark these. And let's use a regular marker. Makes it easier to see what numbers you got in them. Of course, I kind of know, but okay, I probably shouldn't use this marker because I can't see them. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, they probably won't be there for long. Probably be all over the table. I'd say I'm gonna run 1.8 pistons in the rear, a little stiffer for carpet. I do have stiffer springs for the rear also. Like I say, I'd like to run an orange, which is one step below the stiffest in the front, but they are on the way. They didn't have any at the hobby store, which stunk, so I had to order some in. I got some on the other truck, but I'm not going to tear the shocks off on it because I want to leave that truck intact for next weekend. Anyway, let's get to putting these shafts together. Oh, the heck am I doing? And make sure to put a little Loctite on these screws. I did have one of these come apart one time because I didn't do that. And like I say, get this done. Oh, and I forgot my shock tool. Another tool forgot to have out. Nope, trying to screw up. Imagine that. Hi, Kane. Oh, trying to do it again. You wouldn't think those would back off, but they do. I had it happen to me. Probably the same way. I probably had the Loctite out and forgot to Loctite one of them. Okay. And like I said, I'm going to use the 2 offsets on the front with a 0 degree or 0 height shock cup. We'll do the rears kind of like what they tell me, but fronts is the ones that I'm worried about more than the rears. Okay, we're done with those. Oh, doggone it. I don't have my pliers out here either. So I had cleaning off my table and doing my coin stuff. I got noses running again. And I won't need these because I've got the machine ones. A lot of tedious work just getting the stuff all in place. Where you start putting everything together. Get that stuff done so I don't forget it. Do it later. And I need a little bit of, yeah, we'll go ahead and get one of these popped in, and actually we'll get all 4 popped in, and then we'll get the shock oil out to lubricate them a little bit. Got little O-rings inside of these shock collars so they don't move around. They stay somewhat snug. And I don't have the little shock tool out either. Should be one in the kit though. Got it. Well, there might even be one on the table here from the last shock build. Uh-oh, it popped out. Hi, Littlefoot. I got it. Get in there. Remember, guys, this weekend or Saturday we'll do our members coin stream. One that Chris says he never wins on. One of these weekends it'll turn around. Might be this weekend, Chris. Well, I might have asked you before I bought this. Fasty. I'm finally getting away from the Novaks. I just don't have enough brakes for carpet and the speed of these new motors. I was stubborn, but I finally decided over Muscatine, I just don't have enough brakes at the end of the straightaway. I'm having to slow down. Yeah, I got the good one, the 3X. If I'm going to spend 150, 200 bucks, I'm going to get the best. I thought about putting, I still got a couple of the Ryans sitting around here. Yeah, welcome to the 2020s, exactly. You know that old Novaks were good speed controls. They still are. They just don't have the brakes for carpet that you need. Like I was saying, I'd have to slow down on the straightaways way earlier than. But you know, they've treated me well while they're around. They'd probably be fine for truck with 17.5 yet, since truck has gone to 13.5, and these 13.5s now are just so freaking fast. They just don't have the brakes. All right in the infields, but straight away, just not enough. I'm losing a half a second, it seemed like, at the end of the straightaways because of the having to brake early. And then you go to run a buggy or run my buggies, and they got good brakes, and I mean, you just so much different driving them. The first time I go down into the straightaway, I overshoot the corner by 8 foot with the truck before I relearned to start slowing down earlier. I like to cut these threads in these shock caps, these little screws, before I put oil in them. I'll pull them back out, of course, before I put shocks together, but yeah, we can start putting pieces inside the shocks, the seals. I think I got everything ready to go. I did buy the machined set. They're just so much easier to deal with. A little better quality than the kit ones you have to break off the trees. Yeah, much better than dealing with the kit ones. Granted, you're paying what, $10 for them, but yeah, lasts forever, exactly. Basti, I think you're the one that turned me on to using the X-rings before Associated even started using them. Get them from, where was it? McAllister or Granger? Where was it? Probably got, of course, you had to buy them in a package of like 100 or something like that. So then Associated got smart and started using them. McMaster Car, there it is. That's the place. Rather than spending $10 for but of course these are much better silicone ones they're giving us now. Okay, bodies. You got these things that are got 4 of the longer, the thicker ones. Those go in the centers, of course. Let's see, these machined ones have a flat one. I guess I need to get these sorted out. And they got 4 flat ones and 4 tops, and the bottoms aren't the same. Cool, Ogre. Okay, why do we got one? Okay. See, I thought we had one extra one, but yeah, they were the source of our, well, used to be we had O-rings. Now they got X-rings in here to seal the shocks. And they were the source to getting the X-ring shocks back before you could get them for the kits, or in the kits, or people selling them. Was it Trinity that had them? First ones that kind of come out with them, but they were expensive. It's all heck. Of course, now everything's expensive, but that probably was a good place in the U.S. to get them. Screws. Yeah, versus getting your 6 or 8 for whatever it was back in the day from Associated. You could buy a 20 or 50 or I know building my dischargers, of course I did order them from China because that's where they were cheapest, but well, no, they were from a U.S. company. Of course they probably come from China, but I'd get up to 1,000 at a time screws, much cheaper. X-rings from Avid. Yep. I like Avid stuff. Like I say, I got put that Avid slipper on my 13.5 trucks. We swapped it over the other day. Went with the and made it work. No associated change to 7. 2 of the 7 parts to not be able to use them. Try to. Yeah. Four-inch thick catalogs, yeah. You know, I might have got one of those back in the day also. Seems like. Of course, everything nowadays is online, but it is nice to be able to look through and see what everything they got. Yep, $9 or $10. Everything's $10 nowadays. It seems like from AE. $10, 4 screws, $10. You still sponsored by them, Fasty? Or were you ever sponsored by them? I can't remember. AE. Yeah, I wondered about that. I shouldn't say a whole lot. I'd get myself into trouble. But there's some here in the area that I really don't think they should be sponsored yet for no more than they race. As I don't tighten these down till after I get the shafts in them. That way helps get or tighten those caps down. That way when I green slime them, I get green slime pushed back into the seals. The one thing I never really would have ever wanted to be sponsored by AE, just because, of course, they make the drivers basically force the drivers to use Reedy stuff also. I never have been a big fan of Reedy. Yeah. I've always liked kind of being independent. I don't like to be forced to have to run certain tire. I like to run what I want to run. Certain battery, certain speed control. Chassis wise, I've never run anything but AE. Okay, we'll squeeze some green slime up in the... Actually, what we'll do first, get a little shock oil on my finger. We'll go ahead and put the collars in place. Somebody, like I say, somebody comes out with a new tire that looks promising. I always like to be able to run it. Although the only one that's basically building anything nowadays is Jaycon for tires. They're being innovative. Hi, Spectra. Guess I ought to just do all these at once. Yeah, the one thing, yeah, no doubt Jason's a good guy, and the whole team is a bunch of good guys. The one thing is, though, like even right now, I'm pretty sure I do. I know I do. I've got Proline tires on the front of my truck. Just because they work better for me up at Webster City. Granted, on the black carpet at Muscatine, the Jaycon tires work better. But they don't work as good for me and they don't last as long as the Proline tires do at Webster City. So I had never wanted to be tied down to a certain brand of tire. Yeah, yeah. Yep. It's the one thing I wish on carpet they would come out, Jaycon would come out with a little harder tire than their pinks. Something that works without as much wear on office carpet. cool. The guy at the track over in Muscatine started 3D printing 10th scale tire gluing jigs. I've had an 8 scale tire jig around here for a long time. Of course, I'm not running 8 scale anymore, but I had a 10th scale one, the Protoform one, and it stunk. So I've never used it. Carpet tires, it is really nice having something to roll them stiff tires back. Dirt, it isn't so bad, or dirt tires, but carpet tires, it sucks, especially the front tires on a buggy. Okay, why is my green slime not coming out? Getting down there. There we go. About new for new vial. There we go. I shove green slime up in these. Up to where they're up to the top inside there. Say, I don't mind gluing truck tires, either dirt or carpet. Buggies suck on carpet. Just so stiff and not much to get a hold of. End up gluing, especially the narrow fronts, you end up gluing your fingers. Okay, I think I'm ready to start putting some shafts in. Oh, I need my limiters. I'm going to run. Okay, I'm still trying to decide if I want to run 1 or 2 limiters in the front. I think I'm going to go 2. Since I'm going to run the +2, it'll be a little less stroke, but say I just don't like the way the springs were. Still trying to decide if I want to run 1 or 2. Maybe we'll just do 1. Since I'm going to play around with. Fronts are the worst, no doubt. Especially those little narrow front tires. I'm glad J-Con started doing pre-glued ones, honestly. But now that I see that tire jig that I seen him use it or whatever, and I might have to get one. Okay. A little green slime on the threads. A little shock oil on the threads. And like I say, I filled these with green slime inside. I put my finger over it. Get the shaft into place, and then keep as much pressure against that green slime from pushing out. Force it into the seals. Yeah, the trouble with it is the plastics are pretty critical on RC cars, so I know if they make good enough plastics for a lot of the stuff. I mean, there is things you can build that are better than the original equipment. Like right now, the one thing I wish that after building the 84 buggy, I wish they built a little longer front bumper on them, because it actually doesn't cover the chassis protector for carpet. I like to have that overlap a little bit so then it doesn't peel the chassis protector back. And that's the one thing, a lot of these kits are coming out with the shock tower protectors, which that was some things that you could 3D print. There's a lot of other people, I mean, these little smaller companies that are 3D printing stuff. I didn't like the 74 bumpers either. They were too brittle and didn't cover, well, they didn't cover up enough of the A block. And I was going, I don't know how many A blocks I broke there for a while because of hitting the corners of disc blades. It would catch the A block and snap it where they were so thin. And I told somebody that was 3D printing stuff, I wish they built a bumper that wrapped around that A block. And they did, and I never broke one after that. So it just things like that. When they first come out, the 74, nobody was building front shock tower protectors. And Muscatine required them from the very beginning. One of the few tracks at the time that did, but now everybody does, and the kits come with them now. So I actually had to get them out of Europe. So they were the best ones. I liked them better than anything else that came out afterwards. They were well, they weren't 3D, I guess. They were vacuum formed, made out of clear plastic. They were the best ones, I still think, of anything out there. Spectacle. I actually got a sticker sitting here from them. Spectacle Engineering. I was down to my last one for my 74 before they came out with the 84, but I tried to contact them and didn't get no answer for a couple months, and I just figured they were out of business or something. Okay, why is that not going in? There it goes. They finally contacted me back and said they were moved. They weren't selling anything at the current time. So I got my last one on my 74. Hopefully only place I run that's with the foam. I'm still running my 74 buggy with foam tires at Muscatine. Okay, got those together. Now, put one limiter in, so should have to go down to about 23.5 for the fronts. For shock or stroke on the fronts. Of course, I'm running the +2s. Might have to go down to 23. Or maybe even 22.5. I guess we need to slip one on there and see how much stroke we got. It's a +2. That's a +2. Should be 23.5. Oh, yeah, I need to get my tool out here. Tighten up the shock bottoms before I go measuring anything. Don't know why I don't have one of these left on the table. I got a dozen of them sitting around here. Boy, I need to clean my box out. I've still got 8-scale stuff in that box. Oop. Turned off my light. Yeah, that's probably do work more on them if you had them close by. Okay, let's see, we should be about 23 and a half. With the one or actually it's an 030 spacer, but about 1 millimeter. A little bit more. About that much. More than that. Okay, Ogre. Yeah, we're gaining. We'll get the shocks on here today at least. Probably get off here about 4:30 so I can get my video up for the week. My coin video. Doing an update for the Dime album giveaway today. Okay. See you, Fasty. Thanks for stopping by. Okay. That one should be good. Get the other one on. Maybe we'll start filling some oil. Letting them sit. Yeah, we're going to do an update. The video's built. That's the reason I had about half of my tools out that I should have had today. Had to clean my table off from the RC stuff and do my dime album. We are at 34 dimes right now of the 48 I'd like to get. Got a lot of other good prizes in there. Yeah, member stream Saturday. I don't know why I don't do this the easy way. It should be pretty close. Well, how often does that happen? First try. I mean, I'm not missing really anything. I can fill the book, but yeah, here, let me get the book out here. I'll tell you what dates are not in the book right now. It's got 22 slots filled as of right now. $46S. 47. 47D. 47S. 48 DNS. 49 DNS. 50 DNS. 51D. 52S. 53D. 54 DNS. 55 Philly and San Francisco. 56 Philly. 57D. 58 Philly and Denver. 59 Philly. 60 Philly. 61 Philly. 62 Philly and Denver. That's what we're missing. But like I say, I'm pretty sure I've got everything to fill it right now sitting here. So if you want to get in at Ogre, you can just send me anything. I'm not worried about it. Want to send 64s, that's all good. They'll just end up eventually being giveaway prizes for me. So I don't know if acetone would free up a gummed up motor. I would think like a carburetor cleaner or something like that might do it too. I don't know. I know brake clean would be the best on a motor. I'm guessing you're talking a nitro motor. Okay, well, we can start filling some shock oil here. Do the fronts. We're going to run 37.5 in the front. That's where I was with my other truck. I ran stiffer oils with the 12mm shocks. I dropped back with the 13s. I would think a carburetor cleaner might be I don't know what's in carburetor cleaner, but I think that would be a sufficient safer bet than like brake cleaner. say, got to sit here and let the air bleed out of these shocks. Oh, did I never? Oh my goodness, I forgot to tighten those down. Still didn't tighten them down. I've already put oil in it. So that's going to screw up my... I did the other one, but I didn't do this one. So no wonder it's so we're probably going to have to do a little adjustment to that one. Because I think the one I measured, initial one, and this one's going to be shorter or too long now. No wonder I got it the first try. Oh yeah, we're about one thread short or long. Need to do the others before I forget about it too. I got lucky without spilling oil all over everywhere. I can hear air still pumping out of these. There it goes. Yep, gotta let them sit for a little while. Let the air bubbles work up out of the oil. And while those are sitting, I can start working on the others here. I'm not going to forget this time. So yeah, I went 23.5 on the front shock with the 1mm spacer or shim internal with the +2 shock ends. What we're going to do is we're going to run the 0 degree or 0 versus the 5 they say to use the 0 spring cups. That should get the right height down a little bit. At least hopefully it'll still engage the threads on the shock. What am I doing here? Tightening these. I already did this one, didn't I? Yeah. The rear, we didn't put any limiters. We're going to go with the basically the stock setup. We will probably go with the 0 cups on it. Also, to help get the ride heights down. They make 3 different lengths associated. 0, you can see the difference. The 5, which raises up, and then a 9. I'm going to try and get by with the 0s on front and rear. Might have to go to the 5s on the rear, I don't know. And the fronts. Hopefully not. Try to get that ride height down on them without having to leave the springs so loose. I think they show, of course, the kit setup, it shows 29 or 30. I think we're going to try and go down to 29 on these for the stroke length. Which means I got to screw those ends on another millimeter farther, but hopefully they'll go on another millimeter. Not, we'll have to leave it at 30, but should be able to. I don't know though if they'll let me screw those on that extra millimeter or not with those 0. It's about what we got to get yet out of it. We'll see. About one more thread. And about a half a thread yet. This way we don't have quite as much droop on the rear arms, going down 1 millimeter here. Like I say, the kit setup is made for dirt with a 23 millimeter ride height, and we want to be down to about 17 on carpet. So take 1 millimeter out here, using the 5 or 0 cups versus the 5 should get about another 5. And I'm going to run my rear shocks inverted also. Get the weight down in the rear end. Having them inverted, the trucks tend to be a little bit top heavy anyway, so any of the weight you can get down lower is a good thing. Got it. Well, that gets hard on your hands, squeezing on that tool to hold that shock shaft in place from spinning. Yeah, let's see where we are. Need about 2 threads yet. Yeah, we're close, not quite. Need about 1/8 yet. 1/8 to 1/4. That should do it. We're close. See, Yep, it's same as the other one. They aren't snug tight on this one either, so. Well, my first shock should be about ready to bleed. Put the cap on. Front shocks. Another thing I didn't have out here, rag to catch the extra oil. Okay. See what these look like. See if I got all the air bubbles out yet. Maybe not quite. Go ahead and fill those with oil. 30 weight in the rear. That's what I ran on my previous truck with a yellow spring. It's funny the difference. A little bigger hole and lighter oil don't have near as much air. Stays under that piston. A little bit in that one. I didn't go up as slow with the piston either this time. So a little more air trapped under it. Work that shock up and down, get that air working up out of the bottom. Jug's about empty. Guess I got the stuff from the kit is 30 weight oil. They ran 30 weight all the way around for dirt. So there's a little jug of it in the kit. I could pull out if I have to finish filling those. Probably got just about enough in there to do it. Okay, let's do these, get these front shocks caps on, bled. always get that. Say I always cut them threads first. I stripped one of those out in a new kit, so I didn't cut the threads before I filled it with oil. So always pre-cut the threads. As long as you get it full up to the top, may even up a little bit. Always put a drop or two oil in the cap. Before you slap it on there. That way it makes sure the thing is full of oil. Everybody does their socks probably a little differently. I usually get the cap on there snug, but not tightened down completely. Especially a new cap, the O-ring hasn't been smashed, so you usually have to tighten it a little bit. But I always leave the bleeder hole sitting up. Push that shock shaft in slow. Force out any excess. Oil. Put the bleeder in. The shaft fully compressed. Then I always go ahead and tighten it up. It always will get just, I know they don't really like you to have rebound, but I like a little bit. Once you pump the shock up, not really anything in that one. Don't get as much with the shorter shock. I think I got a good seal. This shaft is wanting to come back in. A little bit. And it came with purple springs. Like I say, got orange springs on the way. I had the red ones. I don't know, I haven't decided if I want to. I know I want to put orange on. So I may just leave them. They'll be here tomorrow. I've got reds here, which are softer than the oranges. So I'll have all three step on either side of it. On the springs, like I say, I think I'll just leave them the way they are. put them up in the till I get the orange springs. Is that full enough? Yeah, it should be. There it goes. Yep, it's full enough. A little oil seeping out. Oh, don't put that in yet. Getting ahead of myself. Pushing the shock shaft up, fully compressed. Put out any excess oil. And put the bleeder in. Exactly like that sound. I don't know what exactly that was. The cap didn't crack. I wasn't tightening down on it that much. Oh, I know. It was up inside of there, I suppose. Yep, just like the other one. Looks good. Yep. And the 37.5. Kind of piddle around a little bit. Make sure all that air is out of those rear shocks. These are the springs I'm going to run. Yellows on it. Not the stiffest, but stiffer than what the kit. Can't remember what kit came with, white, I think. About as soft as you can get. Yep, white. And what's it look like for air in these, if there is any yet? I think we're probably pretty well aired out. Oh, get ahead of myself here. We ain't got enough here yet. One more drop. Put a couple drops in the cap. Yep, we got enough in there. Squeezing out the over bleeder hole. Trying to get a hold ahead of myself again. Squeeze out the excess. Put the bleeder screw in. We'll probably end up with just a little bit of rebound on these. I say, I don't mind just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Maybe not even 1 millimeter. how we done it back in the day with the old shocks where we didn't have bleeder screws. You had to get them just perfect. Cool, Chris. Have you hit the money bags today, Chris? Nope. Well, you're saving them for Saturday. Okay, see how we did on this one. And got just a little bit more rebound out of that one. It's not bad. It's not barely any difference. Well, shocks are built, except for the springs on the fronts. See, I'm going to try and get by with 0 cups, front and rear. Get that ride height down. I guess we'll see if it works. Why does that look like that went on farther? No, it didn't. And let's get these the same. The springs are just engaging right there. I know I could get this out and measure them. Be the easiest way. So they're both the same before I start adjusting ride height on it. That was pretty doggone close. Okay, time to get the chassis back down here. And then we'll at least try to get the rear shocks on here yet today. Like I say, I'm going to run them inverted. And this is supposedly a set to be able to run them inverted. I made it work on the old truck with an extra set of, okay, now what are those little things for? I only see one of them there too. Oh, the other one's, no, it's got to be in the package. That must go on one side. This must be the bottoms. Okay, okay, I got it. I think I got it. These must go on this side. Okay, yep. That's the bottoms. That's threaded clear to the end, so that's got to be a bottom. And that will fit inside those. And this is the top. It's got to be the back side. Yep. And it goes just like that. Or is it? Okay, maybe it goes like that. I don't quite understand why they got that little extended part that's cut out, unless it's just to lighten them a little bit. See what goes through the tower. So one side, that side looks short. Oh, it's plenty long. It's got to be, okay. That's the way it's got to be, I think. Say, these are new to me, so. It's got that little bit of a flange on that side. Not for sure. I would think that that should go inside of there. I wonder if those spacers, I wonder which side they're supposed to go on. About got to go on the bottom. Unless those are supposed to go on after that. Okay, well, I know these are the bottoms, so I'm going to go center hole. I probably should cut the threads with a do I got a screw out here yet? Yeah, I do. But I don't have my 2.5 tip. Yeah, maybe we can. I don't even have my power wrench. Boy, I was unprepared today. Okay, we'll get my 2.5 tip and my power wrench. It'd just be better to try and pre-cut the holes with a okay, come here. Just get the threads started into those carbon fiber arms that are tough to thread. Uh-oh, popped the dog bone out. We're gonna go center to start. We might adjust that. Oh, those might be a little bit too long. Maybe that's what that washer is for. We'll figure it out here. Yeah, that's where those washers go. I just bottomed out and I'm not tight. Honestly, I don't know if these tips are long enough or not. I've never ever used these in the... Yeah, they'll work. Never had a need to use them. Always use hand tools for the sockets. So evidently these little things, these little black things go right there on the bottom. There's the other one. There we go. At least they make it so you can quick change the tops. So I got the quick change on the front ones. Quick adjustments. Oh, don't. Hopefully the little spacer didn't disappear. Nope, it's still on there. Evidently there must be a little difference between the depth that those go on different kits. That's the reason they put them little shims in there. Okay, got those on. Bottom ones. And I think that's the way these tops are supposed to go. Just like that. Say we're going center on these. And I bet you, yeah, I got that tool out here. Cool. The other one in place. Much easier to do back here on my lap. Quicker. Got those in place. Now we can put the shocks on. I don't know why the heck they didn't. They should have give you some lock or flange nuts, because you only normally, well, let's see, you'd use 2 sets, I guess. Okay. Shouldn't have needed them, I guess. Kit comes with them. I guess it ought to be. Don't need that stand up here anymore. Maybe show you what I'm doing. Get the tools out of the way. Make some room here on the table, show you what I'm doing. Say, these aren't cheap, they are titanium, but made to do these shocks upside down. Guess that's Vision Racing, maybe. VR. Don't quite understand why those are so long. I guess they'll bottom out though pretty quickly. Not that many threads. Actually, no threads showing. Yep, that's the way they gotta go. I don't think I ever did I tighten those? Tight. Must have. Just like that, I'm running the shocks upside down. Yeah, if you didn't have that shim on there, they would hit the arm. The caps would hit the arm too, looks like. Yep, just a little bit of, so they aren't hitting. There isn't much room there, but okay, do the other side and then we're probably done for today. I was kind of hoping to set the electronics down in place, but put the battery holder in, but we can do that probably be next week. Probably Tuesday next week we'll kind of finish it up. I may go ahead and put the electronics in place. Solder it up. So there really isn't nothing to show you. We'll decide then though. Because I do my soldering downstairs, so I can't do that live anyway. Okay, where's my other one of these? Get my shock. Kind of like how those snap on there too. They're Delron is what they say, the plastic, so I think it must be a little harder plastic than normal. Because they do wear out. Maybe you just don't wear the, because they're usually metal against plastic when they're in the normal position, normal stuff. The top of the cap is metal. So they do, caps do wear since it's metal against plastic. Having that plastic insert, and that's what my front ones got, a plastic, those quick change. One's up front. There you go, Larry. I'm just about ready to get off of here for today. I've built my shocks. Those aren't normal. Normally you run your shocks like this with the tops up. The fronts will be, but you can see I've got the rear shocks inverted. It gets the weight down a little bit. Trucks tend to be a little bit top heavy, so any weight you can get down a little bit's always a good thing. But I don't have the right front springs to put on, so they're going to be here tomorrow. I got front springs, but they're the stiff ones, and then I've got a set that's two stiffness softer, but I wanted the ones in between, and they are coming in the mail. My hobby store didn't have them, so it's pretty easy to do on carpet, to roll them in going in the corners. That's why you got to have a fairly stiff setup, but not too stiff compared to racing on dirt. Just a lot more grip. But I think I'm done for today. I need to get on here and get my update video for the dime giveaway. It's ready to go up, so all gas, no brakes. Yep. That's the thing. For carpet, especially, it's all about corner speed, carrying speed through the corners. So you got to have a fairly stiff setup, but not too stiff that it don't absorb the bumps and jumps, so without bouncing. I think we're there. I think we'll be close right out of the get-go here. So anyway, guys, I think we're going to get out of here. Get off here. We'll probably do this again probably next Tuesday, maybe Monday night. We'll see. We will have our members stream. Larry, Chris, anybody else watching on Saturday night. So hopefully you can make it, Larry. Probably going to do some half dollars for you guys. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I know there's one or two of you that are come back in and watch this after the fact. So we'll see you guys. Look for my video here probably in the next half hour also. So thanks for watching.